Rain poured over New York City that evening, sheets of water cascading down the massive glass facade of Walker Tech Industries. Amara Daniels clutched her 5-year-old son's small hand as they stood beneath the inadequate shelter of a designer storefront awning across the street. Her heart hammered against her ribs, threatening to burst through her chest. 6 years of careful hiding, of building walls and new lives, had come to this desperate moment. "Mommy, why are we standing in the rain?" Liam asked, his innocent blue eyes, his father's eyes, gazing up at her with curiosity. "My shoes are getting all wet." Amara knelt down, brushing his dark hair from his forehead. "Remember what I told you in the taxi? We're going to meet someone very important. Someone who might be able to help us. The man who can stop the mean lady from taking me away." Liam's bottom lip trembled. "Yes, sweetheart." Her voice cracked. "That's why we're here." Before we dive deeper into this emotional story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Mr. Stephen's Stories, where every tale reminds us that love and fate always find their way back. Amara checked her phone, 7:55 p.m. According to his schedule, which she'd managed to obtain through an old connection, Ethan Walker would be leaving the building any minute now. The tech billionaire was nothing if not punctual. "Is he nice?" Liam asked, pulling at the sleeve of his coat. The question hung in the air as Amara searched for an honest answer. 6 years ago, Ethan Walker had been capable of incredible tenderness. He had also been capable of cold, unforgiving rage, the kind that had sent her fleeing from his life without a backward glance. "He can be," she finally said. The sleek glass doors of Walker Tech slid open. Amara's breath caught as a tall figure emerged, flanked by security personnel holding umbrellas. Even from across the street, she'd know that stride anywhere, confident, purposeful, the walk of a man accustomed to commanding rooms and closing billion-dollar deals without breaking a sweat. "Now or never," she whispered to herself. "Come on, Liam." They darted across the street during a break in traffic. The security team immediately tensed as they approached, but Amara's focus remained solely on Ethan. At 35, he looked even more formidable than when she'd left. Success had hardened the angles of his face, deepened the intensity in his eyes. "Ethan," she called out, her voice barely audible above the rain. He turned, recognition dawning slowly, then all at once. His eyes widened, then narrowed, confusion replaced by a flash of something raw and painful. "Amara?" He spoke her name like a forgotten language, uncertain of the pronunciation. Then his gaze dropped to the child holding her hand. Time seemed to stop as Ethan took in the boy's features, the same raven black hair, the same startling blue eyes, the same determined set of the jaw. The blood drained from his face as realization hit him like a physical blow. Who is this?" he managed, though the answer was written all over Liam's small face. "My name is Liam," the boy answered before Amara could speak. "I'm 5 3/4. Security guards shifted uncomfortably. Rain continued to pour. Amara felt her entire body trembling, not from the cold, but from the weight of this moment. "We need to talk," she said. "Please." Ethan's jaw clenched, a muscle twitching beneath his skin. For a terrible moment, she thought he might walk away, might dismiss them both with a cold word. "Harrison," he finally said to one of the guards, "have the car brought around. And cancel my dinner." His eyes never left Liam's face as he added, "It seems I have more pressing matters to attend to." 10 minutes later, they sat in frigid silence in the back of Ethan's luxury SUV. Liam, exhausted from the late hour and excitement, had fallen asleep against Amara's arm. Ethan stared out the window, his profile rigid with tension. 5 years, he finally said, his voice dangerously quiet. "You've kept my son hidden from me for 5 years. 5 years and 9 months, to be precise," Amara corrected softly. "I was already pregnant when I left." Ethan turned to her then, his eyes flashing with fury. "And you never thought I deserved to know? What gave you the right to make that decision?" You gave me that right, she shot back, the day you accused me of betraying you, of selling your company's secrets, without a shred of evidence. The day you called me a gold digger and a liar in front of your entire board. So this was revenge. This was protection, Amara hissed, careful not to wake Liam. I was protecting my child from a man who could turn on the person he claimed to love without a second thought. A man whose pride and paranoia meant more to him than trust. Ethan's laugh was hollow. That's rich, coming from the woman who disappeared without a trace. Do you have any idea what that did to me? I hired private investigators. I thought you might be dead. And yet you never found us, Amara said. Your billions couldn't buy that information, could they? Silence fell between them again. The car glided through Manhattan traffic, rain streaking the tinted windows, distorting the city lights into blurry halos. Why now? Ethan finally asked, his voice stripped of emotion. After all this time, why come to me now? Amara looked down at her sleeping son, her throat tight with fear. Because I have no choice. Because I'm about to lose him, and you're the only one who can help. Ethan's penthouse was exactly as she remembered it, impossibly spacious, meticulously designed, with floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing the glittering New York skyline. Rain continued to lash against the glass as Amara settled Liam on a guest bed. The boy hadn't even stirred when she'd carried him from the car. When she returned to the living room, Ethan stood by the window, a glass of whiskey in his hand. He'd removed his suit jacket but otherwise looked every inch the titan of industry, controlled, powerful, unreachable. He looks like you, she said quietly. He has your mouth, Ethan replied without turning. Your smile. The observation caught her off guard. That he had already noticed such a detail made her heart constrict painfully. Tell me everything, he commanded. Starting with why you think you're going to lose him. Amara sank onto the edge of a leather sofa. I work as a nurse at Mercy Hospital in Connecticut. We live in a small apartment near the water. It's a simple life, but it's been good for us. She twisted her hands in her lap. 3 weeks ago, there was an incident. A patient died under my care. Ethan turned to face her then. Were you responsible? No, she said firmly. But the family is wealthy, connected. They're looking for someone to blame, and I'm an easy target, a single mother with no family, no connections, and a temporary work visa. You never applied for citizenship? I thought about it. But I was afraid if I did, you might find us through the paperwork. Your company has government contracts, access to databases. Ethan's expression darkened. So you remained vulnerable all this time because you were that determined to keep him from me. I did what I thought was best, Amara insisted. But now Child Protective Services is involved. The family filed a complaint, claiming I was negligent because I'm a single mother working too many hours. There's a hearing next week, and my lawyer says. Her voice broke. She says without stable family support, without financial security, I could lose custody, temporarily at first, but possibly permanently. Ethan drained his glass, set it down with deliberate care. And now you want my money. No, Amara stood up, anger flashing in her eyes. I don't want your money. I've never wanted your money. What I need is for you to acknowledge your son. To tell the court that Liam has a father who's present in his life, who supports him. I need you to help me keep our child, not take him from me. Our child, Ethan repeated the words slowly, as if testing their reality. A child I didn't even know existed until 2 hours ago. I know I have no right to ask. No, you don't, he cut her off sharply. You robbed me of 5 years with my son, and now you expect me to pretend we've been one big happy family all along? To lie to the courts. I'm asking you to start being his father now, Amara countered. Not to lie about the past. Ethan turned back to the window, his shoulders rigid. And after the hearing? You disappear again, take him back to Connecticut, and I what, go back to being a stranger. The question hung in the air between them. Amara hadn't thought past the hearing, past the immediate threat of losing Liam. The idea of Ethan becoming a permanent fixture in their lives was terrifying and complicated. "I don't know," she admitted. "But he deserves to know his father." "I see that now." Ethan was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was cold and precise. "I'll need to speak with my lawyers. We'll need DNA testing, of course." "Of course," Amara interrupted bitterly. "You still don't trust me. Can you blame me?" His eyes were glacial. "The last time I trusted you, you disappeared with my child." Before she could respond, a small voice came from the hallway. "Mommy?" They both turned to see Liam standing there in his rumpled clothes, hair tousled from sleep, eyes wide as he took in the unfamiliar surroundings. "Hey, sweetheart," Amara said softly, moving to his side. "Did you have a good nap?" Liam nodded, but his attention was fixed on Ethan. "Is that him? Is that the man who's going to help us?" The room grew impossibly still. Ethan stared at his son, all the carefully constructed barriers in his expression crumbling at the sound of the boy's voice. He looked suddenly lost, vulnerable in a way Amara had only seen once before, the night she told him she loved him for the first time. "Are you enjoying this story? Then show some love, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell us in the comments what you'd do if you were in Ethan's shoes. Would you forgive Amara? Or walk away forever?" "Yes," Ethan finally said, his voice rough with emotion. "I'm going to help you." He knelt down, bringing himself to Liam's level. "My name is Ethan. What's yours?" "Liam James Daniels," the boy replied proudly. "I'm in kindergarten, and I can count to 100, and I know all the planets." A smile, genuine, unguarded, transformed Ethan's face. "That's very impressive. I knew all the planets at your age too." "Really?" Liam's eyes lit up. "Even Pluto?" "My teacher says Pluto isn't a planet anymore, but I think that's mean." "I agree," Ethan said seriously. "Pluto got a raw deal." Amara watched them, her throat tight with unshed tears. In that moment, she saw all the possibilities of what could have been, father and son bonding over shared interests, Ethan teaching Liam about the world, about science and business and the stars. "Are you my daddy?" Liam asked suddenly, with the devastating directness only a child could manage. The question landed like a thunderclap. Amara froze, watching Ethan carefully. This was the moment of truth. He could deny it, could walk away from this responsibility that had been thrust upon him without warning. Ethan's eyes found hers over Liam's head. 1,000 unspoken words passed between them, anger, regret, accusation, and beneath it all, the memory of love. "Yes," he finally said, turning back to Liam. "I am your father." The next morning brought uncomfortable new realities. Ethan had insisted they stay the night, arranging for his housekeeper to prepare the guest rooms. Over breakfast, he announced his plans with typical CEO efficiency. "I've spoken to my legal team," he said, pouring coffee with one hand while scrolling through his phone with the other. "We have an appointment for DNA testing at 10 a.m. My lawyers will begin preparing documents to establish paternity and shared custody arrangements." Amara nearly choked on her toast. "Shared custody? That wasn't part of our agreement." "We don't have an agreement," Ethan replied coldly. "You came to me for help. These are my terms. You can't just decide." "Actually, I can," he cut her off. "He's my son too, Amara. A fact you conveniently ignored for nearly 6 years." Liam looked up from his cereal, eyes darting between them. "Are you fighting?" "No, sweetheart," Amara said quickly. "We're just talking about grown-up things." "About me?" he asked perceptively. Ethan set down his phone. "Yes, about you. About making sure you and your mom are safe and taken care of. And you won't let the mean lady take me away?" No one is taking you anywhere, Ethan promised with such fierce certainty that Amara believed him despite herself. After breakfast, Ethan disappeared into his office for a conference call. Amara helped Liam explore the penthouse, marveling at how quickly he adapted to these new surroundings. He was particularly fascinated by the automated smart home features, giggling with delight when the blinds responded to voice commands. "Mom, this place is so cool," he exclaimed, running his hand along the sleek furnishings. "Does does Dad live here all by himself?" The question caught her off guard. "Yes, he does." "That's sad," Liam decided, pressing his face against the window to look at the city below. Nobody should live all alone. The DNA testing was quick and clinical. Ethan remained detached throughout, speaking more to his lawyers and assistants than to Amara. Only with Liam did he show any warmth, patiently explaining each step of the process to alleviate the boy's fears about the cheek swab. Afterward, Ethan announced he needed to return to the office. "Harrison will take you shopping for whatever Liam needs. My card will cover everything." "We don't need your charity," Amara said stiffly. Ethan's eyes flashed. "It's not charity to provide for my son. We've managed just fine without your money for 5 years. Have you?" His gaze was penetrating. "Is that why you're one court hearing away from losing him?" The words stung like a physical blow. Before Amara could respond, Liam tugged at her hand. "Can we get ice cream?" he asked hopefully, oblivious to the tension. "Dad said I could have whatever I wanted." Ethan's expression softened at being called Dad so easily. "Anything you want," he confirmed, ruffling Liam's hair before heading toward the elevator. "Ethan," Amara called after him. He paused, looking back expectantly. "Thank you," she managed, though the words cost her pride dearly. His only response was a curt nod before the elevator doors closed between them. Days passed in an uneasy routine. Ethan's lawyers worked tirelessly, gathering character witnesses, financial statements, and legal precedents to ensure Amara wouldn't lose custody. Ethan himself was often absent, consumed by business, appearing in the evenings to spend carefully scheduled time with Liam. Watching them together was both beautiful and painful. Liam had taken to Ethan with astonishing ease, as if some part of him had always known this missing piece of himself existed. For his part, Ethan proved to be a natural father, patient, attentive, genuinely interested in everything his son had to say. "He has your mind," Amara observed one evening after Ethan had spent an hour helping Liam build an elaborate structure with magnetic blocks. "The way he thinks about problems, how he visualizes solutions." "He has your heart," Ethan countered, watching as Liam carefully put away each piece. "His kindness, his empathy, that's all you." Such moments of peace were rare between them. More often, they circled each other like wounded animals, bristling with unresolved hurt, with accusations left unspoken for Liam's sake. The fragile truce shattered 1 week before the court hearing, when Ethan's girlfriend arrived unannounced at the penthouse. Vivian Chen, fashion editor, socialite, and fixture on Ethan's arm for the past year according to the gossip sites Amara had studiously avoided, stood in the entryway, her perfect features frozen in shock at the sight of Amara and Liam. "What is this?" she demanded, her gaze flicking between them. "Who are they?" "Vivian," Ethan emerged from his office, tension evident in every line of his body. "I wasn't expecting you." "Clearly," she replied icily. "You've been canceling plans for days, barely returning calls. Now I see why." Liam pressed against Amara's side, sensing the hostility. "Who's that lady?" he whispered loudly. "I'm Ethan's girlfriend," Vivian answered before anyone else could speak. Her eyes narrowed as she took in Liam's features. "Though apparently I'm not the only one who's been kept in the dark about certain developments. We should discuss this privately," Ethan said, gesturing toward his office. "Oh, I think we're well beyond privacy," Vivian laughed bitterly. "The whole city will be talking about this by tomorrow. Tech billionaire Ethan Walker's secret love child revealed." Your PR team will have their work cut out for them. That's enough, Ethan's voice hardened. Amara, take Liam to his room, please. Amara didn't need to be told twice. She ushered Liam away, though not before catching Vivian's parting shot. I hope she was worth it, Ethan. I really do. Later, after Liam had fallen asleep, Amara found Ethan on the terrace, nursing a glass of whiskey. The night air was cool, the city lights stretching endlessly below them. I take it things didn't go well with Vivian, she said, keeping her distance. That would be an understatement. His voice was flat. She's threatened to go to the press. Alarm shot through Amara. She wouldn't. Not if she cares about you. Care has little to do with it. She feels humiliated, betrayed. He drained his glass. Sound familiar? The barb hit its mark. I never tried to hurt you intentionally. Didn't you? He turned to face her, eyes dark with accusation. You took my child and disappeared. What would you call that? Self-preservation, she shot back. You destroyed me, Ethan. You took every dream we shared, every promise you made, and shattered it the moment you believed I'd betrayed you. And you proved me right by running. I proved nothing. I was innocent. The words burst from her with such force that they both fell silent, the echo of her cry hanging in the night air. I never sold your designs, she continued, her voice breaking. I never betrayed your trust. I loved you more than anything in this world. Ethan stared at her, something shifting in his gaze. If that were true, you would have stayed and fought. You would have made me listen. I tried, Amara whispered. But you wouldn't hear me. Your pride was louder than my pleas. The silence that followed was heavy with regret, with years of pain neither had allowed themselves to feel until this moment. Why didn't you tell me about the baby? Ethan finally asked, his voice stripped of anger, leaving only raw hurt behind. Amara closed her eyes, feeling the weight of her choices pressing down on her. I was going to. That day, in your office, when you accused me. I'd come to tell you I was pregnant. But then everything fell apart, and I was so afraid. She swallowed hard. Afraid you'd think I was using the baby to manipulate you. Afraid you'd take him from me out of spite. I would never have done that, Ethan said fiercely. Wouldn't you? The man I saw that day was capable of anything. She wrapped her arms around herself against the chill. So I left. Started over. Convinced myself Liam was better off without a father who could turn so cold, so quickly. Ethan moved closer, close enough that she could see the pain etched in the lines of his face. I've regretted that day every moment since. Not because I lost the company millions when the real culprit was caught months later. Not because my reputation suffered. But because I lost you. The admission hung between them, dangerous in its honesty. It's too late for us, Amara said softly. Perhaps, he agreed. But it's not too late for Liam to have both his parents in his life. The morning of the court hearing arrived with a sense of foreboding. Amara dressed carefully in a conservative blue dress, helping Liam with his small suit and tie. Ethan met them in the living room, impeccable as always in tailored designer wear that probably cost more than 3 months of Amara's nursing salary. Are you ready? He asked, his expression giving nothing away. As I'll ever be, she replied, smoothing Liam's hair nervously. The courthouse was intimidating. All marble columns and echoing hallways. Ethan's legal team met them at the entrance, a formidable array of expensive suits and confident expressions. Amara's own lawyer, a harried public defender, looked woefully outmatched. As they entered the courtroom, Amara spotted the hospital's representatives and the family who had filed the complaint. Their cold, entitled stares sent shivers down her spine. The proceedings began with formal introductions. When Ethan was identified as Liam's father, a murmur ran through the courtroom. The judge, an older woman with shrewd eyes, studied them carefully. "Mr. Walker," she said, "I understand you've only recently become aware of your paternity." "That's correct, Your Honor," Ethan replied, his voice steady. "DNA testing has confirmed I am Liam's biological father." "And what are your intentions regarding the child?" Ethan's answer would determine everything. Amara held her breath, suddenly terrified of what he might say, of how easily he could use this moment to take Liam from her completely. "My intention, Your Honor," Ethan said clearly, "is to support my son and his mother in whatever way they need me. Ms. Daniels has been an exceptional parent under difficult circumstances. Any mistakes in her professional life have no bearing on her abilities as a mother." Relief flooded through Amara so intensely she nearly swayed on her feet. The hearing continued for hours, with testimony from character witnesses, reviews of Amara's work record, and detailed financial disclosures. Throughout it all, Ethan remained a solid presence beside her, unflinching in his support. When the final ruling came, it was better than Amara had dared hope. No changes to custody, though she would be required to complete additional training at the hospital. The complaint was dismissed as lacking merit. Outside the courthouse, as Liam chased pigeons across the steps, Ethan turned to her with an unreadable expression. "Thank you," Amara said simply. "I don't know how to repay you." "I don't want repayment," he replied. "But I do want something." Her guard instantly rose. "What?" "Time with my son," Ethan said. "Regular, consistent time. I want to be his father, Amara, not just a name on his birth certificate." The request was fair, reasonable even. Still, it meant appending the carefully constructed life she'd built, meant allowing Ethan permanent access to their world. "We live in Connecticut," she reminded him. "Your life is here in the city." "I have houses everywhere," he countered. "Including Greenwich. I can work remotely when needed." Amara watched as Liam laughed, carefree in the sunshine, unaware of how his life was changing forever in these moments. "He needs stability," she said. "Not a part-time father who disappears when work gets busy or when the next girlfriend objects." Hurt flashed in Ethan's eyes. "Is that really what you think of me?" "I don't know what to think anymore," she admitted. 6 years ago, you were the man I planned to spend my life with. Now you're a stranger who happens to share DNA with my child." "Our child," he corrected softly. "And I'm still that man, Amara. Older, hopefully wiser, but still the same person who fell in love with you the moment you challenged my entire business model at that charity gala." The memory blindsided her, Ethan in a tuxedo, champagne in hand, staring in amused disbelief as she dismantled his company's approach to medical technology pricing. It had been the beginning of everything. "I can't go back," she whispered. "I'm not asking you to," he said, reaching out to take her hand. "I'm asking you to go forward. To let me be part of Liam's life, and maybe, someday, to forgive me for not believing in you when I should have." Liam ran back to them then, breathless with excitement. "Did you see how close I got to that bird? He wasn't even scared of me." Ethan lifted him effortlessly, settling him on his shoulders. "That's because birds can sense when someone is trustworthy." "Really?" Liam asked, wide-eyed. "Really," Ethan confirmed, his gaze never leaving Amara's face. "Some things you just know in your heart." As they walked down the courthouse steps together, not quite a family but no longer entirely strangers, Amara realized that the walls she'd built to protect herself and Liam had served their purpose. Now, perhaps, it was time to build something new, something stronger, with room enough for forgiveness, for second chances, for a future none of them could have imagined just weeks ago. The rain had finally stopped. The sun broke through the clouds, painting the city in brilliant light. And for the first time in 6 years, Amara allowed herself to hope. If this story touched your heart, make sure to like, comment, and share so more people can feel this journey. And don't forget to subscribe to Mr. Stevens Stories for more powerful billionaire romance tales that speak to the soul.